Our politics lead now. Polls in Colorado close tonight at 9 Eastern, and moderate Democrats are anxiously waiting to see whether establishment candidates can beat back a wave of progressive challengers, like the wave that swept New York last week. In Denver, 29-year-old Democratic Socialist Melat Kiros is challenging 15-term Democratic Congresswoman Diana DeGette. It's a race that could provide some insight into the party's direction ahead of November's midterms. Let's jump right in with the panel. CNN political commentator Karen Finney, president and executive editor of the Daily Signal, Robert Bluey, and Kyle Clark joins us. He is an anchor and managing editor of KUSA TV in Denver. And Kyle, you recently interviewed Melat Kiros. There was you made a lot of news in that interview. One of the notes, one of the things that got some attention was when Kiros didn't say that anti-Semitism is what had motivated the deadly firebombing attack on that Jewish community rally in Boulder. Here's part of her answer where she wouldn't say it was anti-Semitism. Take a listen.
To me, it was a loss of innocent life, regardless of what the perpetrator had in mind when he took those lives. Matters less to me than, our responsibility to making sure that people understand that even in the face of these kinds of disagreements, that violence is not the answer.
Why was that answer so controversial, and what else surprised you from that interview?
Well, I think that the firebombing of elderly Jews in Boulder has been widely condemned as an act of anti-Semitic violence. So the fact that Melat Kiros would not say that was troubling for a lot of people in Colorado. Colorado's 1st Congressional District, Denver, has the largest Jewish population of any of the 8 congressional districts in Colorado. And Melat Kiros is a true believer in democratic socialism and all of its dogma. And related to that conversation, she said that not only does she want to see an arms embargo against Israel, offensive and defensive weapons, but she was glad to see Palantir leave Colorado, and she would like to see Lockheed Martin, the defense contractor, which is a large employer here, leave as well.
Fascinating stuff. Karen, obviously the Democratic Socialists are ascendant. They bring a lot of energy. They bring a lot of passion. They also bring establishment Democrats a lot of agita. What do you think the reaction will be if Kiros wins?
It shouldn't be much of anything. I mean, look, rather than focusing on the labels, because we're talking about 2 people in blue New York who won, not
3.
A third who is a...
No, okay, fair enough. Right.
Okay. Don't make me cite...
I apologize. I apologize.
Okay. No, but look, I'm more interested in what is it that voters are trying to tell us? What is it, and are those candidates, are they able to out-organize and do a better job of mobilizing their voters to turn out in these midterm elections? I think too often, particularly we've seen, it's also a matter of anti-incumbency. And so what I've been sort of encouraging Democrats is don't take the bait about labels, but pay attention. What is it that voters are saying? They're saying they're impatient. They're saying this Congress, led by Republicans, hasn't gotten anything done. They're looking for relief on costs, on housing. They're angry about the war. And are you someone who is speaking to those concerns? What's interesting in this particular race is DeGette has actually been, this issue has been, this has been an issue in that district. I think she's actually been pretty good on the issue, from the perspective of her constituents. So it'll be interesting to see if she doesn't win or if it's close, what were the issues that made it that way?
Do you think this is kind of just I've heard people compare this to what the Republicans went through with the Tea Party. Young, passionate, sometimes single issue people taking on the establishment, and the taking on of the establishment is part of the attraction. Is that what's going on here? It's kind of like a chai party or something?
Well, I do think it's important to look at the issues and the platform in which these candidates support. And certainly the Democratic Socialists of America have quite a radical platform in which they call for the abolition of the Constitution and radical changes to our U.S. government. But to your point about the Tea Party, we still see the effects of that today, right? Senator Mike Lee from Utah upended an establishment candidate, and Senator Bennet. And look at what he's doing on the floor of the Senate now and pushing the Save America Act, and he has the President of the United States behind him. So I do think it's possible for some of these candidates to gravitate towards some issues that really latch on and cause the attention of the base in the Democrat Party to maybe get them to change some of the positions that they've taken in the past. So it'll be quite interesting to see if they have enough members who can assemble that block, like the House Freedom Caucus or like those Senate conservatives.
Exactly. And Kyle, this anti-establishment sentiment sentiment could also impact tonight's Democratic primary to replace the current term-limited governor, Jared Polis. Senator Michael Bennet is facing State Attorney General Phil Weiser. You just spoke with both candidates. What are their closing messages, and are they talking to voters who are upset with the establishment wing of the Democratic Party?
They absolutely are, Jake. And it's interesting because A.G. Weiser is obviously an incumbent Democrat. Both of these guys are considered to be centrist Democrats for the most part, but Weiser is benefiting from the anti-Washington feel simply because he's a statewide elected official, and Bennet is in Washington. And in terms of their closing message, what Weiser is telling voters is you can have us both. You can have me as governor, and you can have Bennet in the Senate. It even rhymes, whereas Bennett's made pretty clear he hates his current job in Washington. He wants to come home to Colorado. But if that happens, he will be appointing his own successor, some mystery person. And that's been a concern for some Democrats.
Very interesting. Let's turn to the U.S. Senate race in Texas. Kind of a shocking New York Times Siena poll has Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton and Democratic State Representative James Talarico currently tied 47 points apiece among likely Texas voters, with only 6% saying they have not made their minds up. When you dig into the crosstabs, Paxton's net unfavorable is 50%. Talarico's is 39%. Paxton's net favorable is 39%. Talarico's 46%. Karen, Democrats have been whistling past the graveyard on Texas for a long time.
Yes.
Is it actually going to happen? Could it happen?
Well, of course it could. It always could. I mean, nobody thought Donald Trump was going to be president, and look at here he is twice now. So, look, I think for Talarico, the intellectually honest answer is it depends on a couple of things. Number one, does he put together the kind of winning coalition and turn those voters out that it would take to win? And that is a rainbow coalition, if you will, of independents, probably some moderate Republicans, of African American voters, of Latino voters, and put that coalition together in different parts of the state and then turn them out. We'll have to see if he's able to do that. But look, I think the other thing is, we're talking about extremism. I mean, Donald Trump isn't exactly a friend to the Constitution, and thankfully was rebuked today by the Supreme Court. Ken Paxton, the question for voters is going to be, do you want another person in Washington who's going to enable things like the SAVE Act, which is pretty unpopular, or do you want somebody who's going to stand up for you? That's going to be part of the question.
Do you wish that Cornyn had won? I don't think we'd be seeing the same numbers.
Well, maybe. I mean, I ultimately think this is probably going to look like 2018 when everybody was worried about Beto O'Rourke, and then ultimately Ted Cruz won by a comfortable, 3 points or so. So we'll see. That was a bad year for Republicans, remember.
Right.
So they're up against some historical trends which show that the president's incumbent party doesn't perform well in the midterm elections. What Ken Paxton needs to do, and I think he needs the support of those Republicans in Congress. You made the point earlier, they haven't done much. They haven't done much since the One Big Beautiful Bill. There's a lot of things that they can still do in the time that they have to legislate that would benefit not only President Trump, but Republicans running for office.
Thanks to one and all.